crew. And to anybody else who can hear my voice right now, it's the 24th of July, 2024. We're going to do the brief. YouTube is doing that intro thing that it does where it pre-rolls the first 30 seconds to make sure that I'm not going to do anything stupid. Jokes on them. I totally will. And I'll start over shortly. Boom. Goes the dynamite. There we are. Can you hear me? Good morning, everybody in the chat. I'm that bear guy from the internet. Can I get a 5x5, please? Yes, you can, Bear. Thank you, Derpy, for the win. It is the 24th of July, 2024. We're going to do the brief today. The show is brought to you by the creator of the universe, the fine people over at Patreon. Link is in the description of refugemedical.com, for whom I am the chief shilling officer, also founder and CEO. I've got a heart out this morning, so we're going to try and cruise. Don't be stupid. Subscribe, ring the little bell icon, share the show with somebody you love. Okay? Okay, Bear. What's up, Dr. Trevor Wilkins? Shalom, brother. Dude, politics is gay, and it has been just an absolute deluge of retardation concerning American politics here lately. But unfortunately, it affects our entire life because the federal government has infected every facet of our existence. I'm dying. I am dying. It was leg day today, and I already have baby giraffe legs, so today's going to be interesting. An update since the last written brief: Biden has officially dropped out of the 2024 presidential race and may actually be dead at this point. We don't know. And Vice President Kamala has been endorsed as the Democratic pick to go up against former President Donald Trump. On the 20th, he posted to X that he would win against Trump. That would be Biden. Then on the 21st, a letter signed by President Joe Biden and posted on X read, quote, "Well, it has been my intention to seek re-election. I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term," end quote. In other words, Nancy Pelosi and the deep state and the Democratic big donors all got together and said, "Hey, bro, slow your roll. You're 84,000 years old, and you shit your britches and your brain doesn't work, so you can't be president. You should have never been president in the first place. You've outlived your usefulness, so it's time to hang it up, Joe." Paraphrasing, of course. In a subsequent post that same day, Joe Biden, endorsed Kamala as the party nominee. Since the announcement, a surge of about $250 million in online donations and major donor commitments have been acquired for Harris and the Democratic Party. Given this official change, let's examine what a Harris presidency would look like in foreign policy. Analysts expect that Harris would, for the most part, continue acting similarly to the Biden presidency. Yay, in other words, absolutely destroy the United States of America. Also, let's all just stand by and wait for the bait and switch, because while Kamala does have the backing, she's not officially the nominee from the Democratic Party, the DNC, yet, which is taking place in Chicago, which is where the Obamas are from. And so who knows what could happen? Big Mike may take the stage and be like, "I never asked for this, but I will step up and support my country. Look at my triceps. Look at my abs. Look at my Adam's apple. Look at the bulge in my dress. I'm the man, woman for the job." We'll see. I'm nothing would surprise me at this point. And we have a country literally run by transvestites and pedophiles, and we're like, this is God's promised land. It's like, if it is, there's a whole bunch of repentance that needs to take place, because our air quote leadership, they're a bunch of demonic, satanic pedophiles. But I digress. Oh, you're one of those conspiracy theorist guys. No, I know it for a fact. CalebHouse.org. We hunt people like that, and I know it for a fact. How do I know? Because there's people inside the administration who are informants who have told us this. That's how I know. And I said, "You should probably slow your roll. This stuff goes all the way to the top." And I was like, "That's cute. So it's dangerous and meaningful. Yeah, we'll totally stop doing what we do because it's dangerous and challenging and meaningful." You're absolutely right. No, wrong. Kamala's stance towards China is essentially the same. Also, her stance towards the Russia-Ukraine war mirrors Biden these last 4 years. That's because she's a vapid idiot. She doesn't know what's happening. She's just doing exactly what the party leadership tells her to do, just like Biden, which is why she's currently the nominee, because she'll do exactly what the party leadership tells her to do, just like Biden. See, Biden's lost his mind. Kamala never had one to begin with. So there you go. You know, they had to tell Biden what to do. Kamala, she's stupid. She's just an idiot who literally slept her way to the top by giving Willie Brown, her boss at the time, blowjobs underneath of his desk. But, you know, we don't talk about that in public. This is a nice, polite channel, right? Let's see. Also, her stance towards the Russia-Ukraine war mirrors Biden these last 4 years, with a strong opposition to the Russian aggression in that region because of its global implications. She expressed strong support for the mutual defense of NATO countries at the Munich Security Conference last February, probably while giggling. She also pledged support for the defense of Israel, though she's been more critical of its methods than Biden has. Still, she spent the last 4 years walking in lockstep with the Biden presidency. At the end of last year, for example, she stated in a briefing, quote, "We support Israel's legitimate military objectives to eliminate the threat of Hamas," end quote. Then on 14 April, she posted on her official account on X, aka her staffer drew something up, quote, "Our support for Israel's security is ironclad," end quote. It would be awkward, to say the least, to significantly walk back these recent statements. What of the conflict in the Middle East? Since we're talking about the Middle East, Israel has launched a fresh assault on the eastern Khan Yunis, killing at least 70 Palestinians and wounding over 200 more. Previously, the area had been designated a safe zone, but shortly before the attack, Palestinians were ordered to evacuate. Biffer, shalom, bro. Thanks for the $10. Every day with you, Biffer. I appreciate you. You know, for $10, Biffer, that's a month's worth of Patreon subscription. Just for, I mean, I appreciate the super chat, but that's a month's worth of Patreon content. That's 12 to 15 pre-recorded videos, 4 live streams, and 7,000 videos in the backlog. 7,000 searchable. What does Bear think about homesteading? You put homesteading into the search bar, boom, 100 videos. Palestinians were ordered to evacuate Khan Yunis. In fact, one reporter for Al Jazeera, remember when Al Jazeera was just like a bunch of freaking terrorists, literally with cameras riding around in the back of Toyota Technicals, filming their side of the GWAT, and now they're like an esteemed global news network? Dude, we live in a clown world. We'd like all the way live in a clown world. Like, the current president is a satanic pedophile who has dementia. The presidential nominee is a literal whore. Well, she's not officially the nominee yet, but she's the one the party's getting behind. Is a literal whore. And then terrorists are supplying national and international news. Yeah, this freaking fallen world we live in, bro. Unimpressed. Let's see. In fact, one reporter for Al Jazeera said that people were inside their houses in their neighborhoods when the bombing started, and that evacuation leaflets dropped later. Sure, that's called misinformation, disinformation. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Maybe somebody on the logistics side of Israel was like, all right, listen up, Chaim, we're going to drop the leaflets first and then the bombs. And he's like, roger that, Shlomo. And then Chaim is up there, he's flying the jet, and he's like, was it leaflets or bombs? Bombs or leaflets? I don't remember. Yeah, screw it. Now, I'm going to hit this button first, and then I'll hit that button. And maybe they got it wrong. It happens all the time. One resident told Reuters, it's like doomsday. People are fleeing under fire. Many are dead and wounded on the roads. What medical systems are still operating are beyond overwhelmed, treating patients on the floor. Because you have a good first aid kit and you know how to use it, right? The United Nations International Relief Agency, or UNRWA, and Palestinians have all said the same thing. In Gaza, there is no safe place left. But there's more. The Houthis claimed responsibility for a drone that recently killed 1 and injured 10 in Tel Aviv on Friday. Now Israel has conducted airstrikes on oil tanks near the port of Hodeidah, Yemen, in response to, quote, hundreds of attacks carried out against Israel, end quote, over the last several months. 6 people were killed and dozens were injured. It has been called a major regional fallout in the media. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has said that the potential for a ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel, quote, we're inside the 10-yard line, aka we're getting close. Now, also allegedly, Bibi Netanyahu, I believe, is supposed to be in the Estados Unidos today, and Biden was supposed to be meeting with him today to continue to affirm his support for Israel in their conflict against Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthi and the Blowfish, the Houthis, Iran, Russia by proxy, whoever else, whoever they can extrapolate taxpayer dollars from and then wash them through some conflict half a world away and then spend that money back on the Democratic National Committee or whatever. And that's basically the gist of it. And that's basically what's happening. Speaking of global conflict, from Russia today, Iskander strike targets foreign instructors in Ukraine. Are you ready for escalation, boys and gerbils? Because whether you are or not, we may get it. Which is perfect because we have strong leadership here in the United States of America. The economy is booming. Quality of life is through the roof. Cost of housing is down. Cost of rent is down. Cost of groceries and fuel and energy is way, way, way down. Everybody has like a fully funded Roth IRA, 401k. We're flush with gold and silver. Their children are incredibly well educated. Our veterans are not homeless and they're not being, just tossed through some bullshit veteran affairs system. Everybody's got 3 or 4 vehicles parked in their car and a milk cow in the backyard and a couple dozen chickens. Things are great. Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. I'm just imagining shit again. From RT, Iskander strike targets foreign instructors in Ukraine. The strike destroyed a temporary deployment point housing Western instructors and mercenaries, the Russian Defense Ministry has reported. A missile strike has destroyed a temporary deployment point housing Western instructors and mercenaries, the Russian Defense Ministry reported. The Russian Defense Ministry has shared a video apparently showing a missile strike on a temporary deployment center near the city of Kharkov. Kharkov? Or is it Kharkiv or Kharkiv? I can't keep up with whatever the appropriate pronunciation of cities that none of us have ever been in before. Kharkov, Ukraine, that supposedly housed Western, quote, instructors and mercenaries, end quote. Some 50 foreigners are said to have been killed in a ballistic missile strike, which was conducted using an Iskander M system, the ministry said, noting that the facility was located in Dergachi, a town in the Kharkov region. The strike comes as Moscow had repeatedly warned that any foreign military personnel operating in Ukraine are considered legitimate targets for Russian strikes and would be relentlessly eliminated. It's a little propaganda-ish. Relentlessly eliminated. One missile. Okay, tracking. Last month, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov reiterated the threat as France hinted at officially sending its soldiers to Ukraine. Quote, the fact is that any instructors who were involved in training the military of the Ukrainian regime do not have any immunity. I believe that's technically correct, end quote. And if it's not technically correct, it's definitely correct in the spirit of the law. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The friend of my enemy is my enemy. I believe in a high school 20 years ago, they called that frenemies, although I was not a popular kid in high school, believe it or not. In fact, my school crew always from the 3rd grade and up was all the weird kids. Like literally my best friend in grade school was a kid named Yuri Mandelbaum. Yuri, if you're out there, how's Esther? How's Chaim? And no, I'm not making those names up. That's his brother and sister's name. Great family. But Yuri was like about the size of one of those 100-pound sandbag things, just in mass and size. And everybody picked on him. And so I beat the shit out of everybody that picked on Yuri. And then like the fat kid who played the flute in band, that kid, and like the smelly kid who was poor and didn't have any shoes and had holes in his jeans, that kid was also my friend. The nerdy girl, like that was my crew. The misfits, the ones that didn't have a crew to fit into, the football players that weren't popular, that was my crew. And when everybody picked on my crew, I beat the shit out of the people that picked on my crew. I don't know how we got there. There's a little bit of backstory about Bear because I was used to just getting into fights because I'd get into fights at school and then I'd get into fights at home and then I'd go back to school and get into fights at school and just the process repeated. And at some point, it's just another fist fight. Oh, we're just here again. Okay. What's the worst that's going to happen? Some 4th grader wants to kick my ass. At least he's not a full-grown man. That is fine. I'll just beat the shit out of that kid. It'll be okay. Now, I never started a fight. I ended a lot of them. A lot of them. Iskander missile strikes. The fact is that any instructors who are involved in training the military of Ukraine regime do not have any immunity, Peskov told reporters at the time, noting that, quote, it doesn't matter whether they are French or not. end quote. And so we don't know exactly at this point, per the initial reporting, who it was that was housed there. But the likely answer is it wasn't Ukrainian nationals. Earlier this month, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, aka the SVR, because that's how Russian works, declassified a report in which an agent claimed the French army was, quote, concerned about the increased number of Frenchmen killed in the Ukrainian theater of military operation, end quote. Moscow's forces had reported destroying another temporary deployment center for foreign fighters in Kharkiv in January, killing what Paris reportedly estimated to be dozens of French citizens. So the hinting here is that these are French citizens. And that's potentially a problem because France is like a cornerstone member of NATO. James, $5. Anyone know a legit realtor for Northeast Tennessee, close to Pigeon Forge area? I don't. I don't operate in that AO, but somebody else in the chat might, so I'd keep an eye on the chat. Do appreciate the super chat, though. Moving on. Russian President Vladimir Putin has also recently stated that Western military trainers have, quote, long been present, end quote, in Ukraine, quote, under the guise of mercenaries, end quote, and has emphasized that they represent a legitimate target for Russia's armed forces. I believe, again, technically, that's correct. And in the spirit of the law, that's absolutely correct. And cue the NATO escalation now. I really hope it doesn't go there at any point on the timeline. I would hope that it wouldn't go there. But right now, we literally don't know where the president is. He allegedly phoned into the whatever that freaking rally was that Kamala was at. And there's a lot of conjecture right now, possibly accurate conjecture, that the phone call, air quote, where Biden talked to Kamala was either pre-recorded, because it sure shit sounds pre-recorded, or it was AI, because it also kind of just stinks of robotics. Speaking of robotics, did you see Elon Musk said that he lost his son to the woke gender ideology and that he is now going to fight with everything that he has to eradicate that mind virus? Good for you, Elon. I'm still not convinced you're not the Antichrist, but good for you. Deploy your considerable resources against things that I disagree with. I'm fine with that. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Not my friend, but if he can do the work for me, cool. Less resources I got to spend on it. Bitter Grenade said, if you don't see him by Friday, he isn't with us anymore. Well, he's allegedly supposed to be making public appearances again beginning tomorrow, he being Biden. Dude, I'm not convinced that he doesn't have multiple body doubles. And I'm not convinced a lot of the time that he's appeared on camera, he wasn't CGI'd in, green screened on whatever it was that he was supposed to be doing. Like that one video they had in front of him, in front of Marine One, the president's helicopter, the bottom right corner is cutting out digitally. Yeah. And that was a couple years ago. So, prepare for NATO escalation in Ukraine because French citizens, aka mercenaries and trainers, just got blowed up with a ballistic missile. I don't really want that to happen. But what I want doesn't matter, does it? It's what the Father wants to happen. And then that begs the question, why would the Father want war in Ukraine? I don't know. Maybe to shed light on the fact that we should stop just giving authority and autonomy to the ruling elites of this world, because we're not supposed to have kings. We're supposed to be kings, each one of us. And that requires a massive amount of personal responsibility. And in order to be able to pick up that cross and bear it and take that personal responsibility, we might want to begin in our own lives. And maybe on Sunday morning, when your sopping wet beta male pastor gets up there behind the podium and tells you to just be a really nice guy, brother, so you can enter into the kingdom of heaven, you can remind him that the kingdom of heaven suffers violence and violent men take it by force, and that Messiah was God made flesh. And Exodus 15 verse 3 says that Yahweh is a warrior. Yahweh is his name. And meekness, biblically, in the Hebrew, the Aramaic, means having a sword upon your thigh and keeping your hand upon your sword. So it's the ability to bring utter chaos and destruction balanced with wisdom and discernment. Meekness doesn't mean be a pussy, but I digress. From the Blaze, Las Vegas authorities were alerted to possible, quote, medical issue involving Biden and began closing roads. Dateline yesterday, 23 July 24. Quote, we were ready to address any needs that the president needed. Members of Joe Biden's security detail and the staff at a nearby hospital were all put on high alert after the president apparently suffered some kind of health scare during a recent visit to the Sin City. Last Wednesday, Biden's team had to cut his trip to Vegas short after the president began feeling under the weather. Though COVID was the ultimate diagnosis, why COVID? Because they can pull out the old social distancing card. Plus, if it's actually COVID, like which is the flu ish, SARS-CoV-2, which is amazing. The president got COVID. Didn't he get the shot and the 2 other shots and then 19 boosters after that? And he still got COVID. Wow. Wow. Who'd have thought that was possible? If it actually is COVID, the dude is older than dirt. So it's going to have a negative impact on him anyway, if it's legitimately COVID. I'm not there. I don't know. But man, how really convenient that this guy who's being ushered off the main stage of geopolitics globally all of a sudden has COVID. And just like when he was on the campaign trail 4 years ago, he got COVID and he couldn't make any public appearances. Now he's got COVID again and he can't make any public appearances. Coincidence, I'm sure. Though COVID was the ultimate diagnosis, many in Vegas were under the impression that Biden had experienced a much more serious medical condition and began to prepare accordingly. Quote, we did not know the nature of his illness. As a precaution, Las Vegas Metro Police Department, or LVMPD, proactively began to shut down roads leading to UMC Hospital, citing more than 6 officers assigned to Biden's security detail that day. 6 officers. Tell me you got a leak without telling me you got a leak. Citing more than 6 officers assigned to the president's detail that day. Bro, I said this to a class 2 days ago. I said, you guys make a whole bunch of noise when you don't need to, and you don't make enough noise when you need to. What's up, 12C? And one of the students asked, they said, what do you mean by that in the AAR? And I said, when the instructors are instructing, you're constantly talking, your sidebar conversations, when it's time to line up, time to get in formation, time to put your face in the dirt, all that is just chatter, 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 chatter. And people are constantly screaming at you, shut the up. But then when it's loud and it's chaos and there's motor vehicle accidents simulated and there's force-on-force engagements simulated and we're shooting guns at you and tossing flashbangs and you're shooting guns at us and all that, you guys are whispering to each other. When it's time to be loud, be loud. When it's not time to be loud, shut the fuck up. Be quiet. And so if this was my Secret Service detail, I'd have that conversation with them. Hey, when it's time to be quiet, be quiet. Don't be talking to nobody. When it's time to be loud, when bullets are flying and things are exploding, then be loud. Use your big boy voice. Speak from the diaphragm. Citing more than 6 officers on Biden's security detail that day, Jordan of the Dossier Report reported that dispatchers made a call over the radio requesting a surge of assistance because Biden was having what's called an unspecified medical emergency. Officers then began closing down roads and securing the area so that Biden could quickly be transported to University Medical Center located on West Charleston Boulevard, just west of the Las Vegas Strip. Local TV likewise reported that UMC Hospital was on standby on Wednesday after being alerted about a possible medical issue with President Joe Biden Wednesday afternoon while he was visiting Southern Nevada. Dude, it just all seems super convenient, doesn't it? When they gave him his vitamins for that day, was there like a cyanide pill in it? Like, what's the deal? It all seems super convenient that this guy, who has been nothing more than a shit show for the last 4 or 5 years or 81 years, depending on how long your timeline goes back, this guy who should have never been president in the first place, now that his party has abandoned him, he's having all these issues all of a sudden. Just all of a sudden, 3 weeks ago, he's sharp as a tack. You can trust him. There's nobody fit to lead better than Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. And then 2.5 weeks ago, he debates Trump, and his entire party's like, oh, wait a minute. He's not going to cut it. As if they didn't know for the last 4 years that he was senile. As if they didn't know for the last 4 years that he had dementia. They did. They abandoned him. They jumped ship like the bunch of rats that they are. They go over here, they get behind Kamala because Kamala is the only horse that they can really have in the race right now because they've pre-printed 100 million ballots with Joseph Robinette Biden Jr.'s name on them so they can stuff the ballots in November. They're probably freaking out about that right now. Wait a minute, the guy who we were going to re-elect, air quote, he doesn't exist anymore. What are we going to do? Figure that out. Well, we can get the vice president in, and if the vice president is now on the ballot with the nomination of Biden or with the support of Biden, and Biden doesn't seek re-election, and see if Biden dies while he's in office, she assumes the presidency. And if she assumes the presidency, since he was the candidate on the ballot, it's essentially her re-election. Now, I don't know how Big Mike plays into all of this, but if I was the Democratic National Committee, praise ya, I'm not, and my options were Kamala or Big Mike, I'd have to pick Big Mike because at least Big Mike's got strong shoulders. Pre-workout is just still going. Can you hear it? Listen to the cadence of my voice this morning. And my legs is jello. Anyway, I think they're going to take Biden out before the next election. I think they're going to usher Kamala in, and then they already have a workaround. They already have a play that they're pushing. What's up, Sam Off Grid? Thanks for the $10. They already have a workaround to get Kamala out of office because I don't think, honestly, like she's a vapid idiot, as discussed previously, and she'll probably do whatever the DNC and the elites tell her to do. But I think enough people see through that right now. They have to have somebody who has some semblance of independence, some semblance of smarts, who can actually, air quote, operate on the world stage to look like a leader. Because they're going to try and pull a bunch of shit with regardless of who's in next that you couldn't ascribe to Kamala because she's dumber than a box of rocks. Right? There's not enough cover for action with Kamala. So we got to get her out of there, get somebody else in. Mark my words. Today's the 24th of July, 24. In a month or two, when all this shit goes down, we can go back and go, look, Bear, you're a prophet. And I'll say, no, I'm not a prophet. Don't say that about me. I'm just somebody who can read the room, look at patterns of history and go, oh, I think this is what they're going to do. But there was that guy, he's a good Christian man, who said Trump was going to get shot in the ear 3 months ago. Maybe he's in on it. Ooh, maybe it was an op and he was briefed on it. How could you say that? Trump would never do that. Dude, consider all options. How could you not say that? How could you be so myopic in your paradigms that you couldn't for a moment consider something that might go against everything you believe? You have to pressure test your theories. You have to pressure test your belief. My brothers, count it all joy when you fall into various trials for the proving of your faith. You have to apply pressure to the things you think, the things you believe. And if they don't, if your beliefs, convictions, and thoughts don't stand up to the pressure, they're not real. That's how you know they are real. They survive the pressure. They withstand the pressure. Blah, blah, blah. Biden went to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. Hospital prepared to provide whatever medical assistance was required. Quote, we were ready and stood ready to be. We were ready. Who writes this shit? We were ready and stood ready to be able to address any needs that the president needed. Any needs that the president needed. We were ready and we're ready, said Van Houweling. Who the hell's Van Houweling? CEO of UMC, United Medical Center, whatever the hell that is. Quote, we knew we were dealing with more of a medical issue. Definitely trauma and any accidents were off the table. Definitely trauma and any accidents were off the table. What's trauma? From a medical standpoint, trauma means massive bleeding. We just taught this for the last couple of days. So it wasn't massive bleeding and it wasn't an accident. He didn't fall up the freaking stairs again. We shifted gears to be able to address a medical need here at UMC. Good for you. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. Not just for the air quote president of the United States of America. Las Vegas Metro Police Department also provided a statement verifying the reports of an illness and noting that Biden flew out of town shortly thereafter. Las Vegas Metro PD was notified that President Biden was sick, blah, blah, blah. We do not know the nature of his illness, blah, blah, blah. As a precaution, we proactively shut down roads leading to the hospital. Secret Service then advised PD that the president was going directly to Harry Reid International Airport and would be leaving Las Vegas. Officials aboard Air Force One were not playing around. So now we have people leaking information from Air Force One as well. That's great. Do you even deep state, bro? That quote, they flew so fast to the airport in Dover, Delaware that day that the plane shook, according to the Daily Mail senior White House correspondent Emily Gooden. Blue to do to do. Newsweek claimed that rumors about Biden's medical emergency had been debunked and suggested that Kirk was just another long line of questionable theories propagated by a right-wing commentator. Even though we have 6 people from his own personal security detail and the Las Vegas Metro PD and the CEO of the hospital in Vegas all saying, yep, this shit totally happened. And so that's the point right there. It's been debunked by who? By not the people who saw it with their own eyeballs. That's called gaslighting, by the way. Can the Dems constitutionally nominate someone who didn't run in the primary? Where's the civilian representation in that? Well, so what's up, Swivelhead Medic? Thanks for the super chat. I don't, being perfectly frank, quite understand exactly how the Democratic nomination process works. But I do know that they have what are called super delegates, and there's about 3,000 of them, and they don't really have a primary on the DNC. They have a bunch of rich people who basically appoint a nominee, and then that person becomes the nominee for the party, as I understand it. I'm probably going to do some more digging on that in the near future so I can speak with some level of understanding on it in the near future, because I think it's going to be important. What's up, Tato? But I don't know. I mean, at this point, can the Democrats do anything legally? The answer is no. They don't do anything legally. The law is for us. It's not for them. They don't follow laws. They don't write those laws for us. I just look at insider trading just amongst our senators and our congressional representatives. Just look at that. Insider trading is illegal unless you happen to be an elected representative in the United States Senate or Congress. Then it's fine. That's perfectly fine. No problem. The laws are not for them. The laws are for us. And if you go a little bit faster in your motor vehicle that you bought with your money post-tax after they took a bunch of money out of your paycheck already and then paid to license it and then paid to get a driver's license and then were taxed locally in order to build the roads, if you go a little bit over the little square white sign that has some numbers on it, you will have to pay even more money. And then if you do that enough times, your insurance company is going to charge you even more money. So how dare you exercise your right to be able to move about freely on the battle space? That's going to cost you even more money, sir or madam. But you can go to DC and get paid $160,000 to $400,000 a year and leave with a net worth in the tens to hundreds of millions of dollars, and nobody bats an eye. No, the laws aren't for them. Nobody gives a shit about those laws. They don't follow them. That's the show for today. RefugeMedical.com. Promo code is BearNation for free shipping. Rick Bales, saw you in the chat yesterday bitching about the price of buckets being on sale versus free shipping. And I could have just used free shipping. You could have bought buckets before the bucket promo was on. The buckets are 20% off. If you want 20% off on buckets, what's a bucket? Listen, wound care bucket, surgical bucket, birthing bucket, postpartum bucket. Okay. You get those 4 things, you put them in your hallway closet. Congratulations, you have the starter kit for an SHTF field hospital, because the medical system is super duper strong these days, right? And yet you can't use free shipping on any promos that we have going on right now, because I'm already bent over a barrel because it's 2024 for me too, and I really don't want to go out of business. So if you want to support an American-made business with real medical gear, like real stuff, not Temu Chinese bullshit, RefugeMedical.com. We pay people real money here. We use real products. We guarantee them forever. And 126 people are still alive because we don't compromise. And you can get anything other than buckets and use promo code BearNation for free shipping. Or you can get 20% off on buckets, pay for the shipping, and you still come out less than if you had paid retail on the buckets. Tracking like a tank bear. Awesome. There's a small handful, like less than the number of fingies on my hand, of Marpat bare minimum still left in stock. And there's a small handful of M81 Bearfax and SOBs still in stock. So check those out. And if you don't know what to get yourself a red Bearfax, because it's the best first aid kit on planet Earth. And 8 in 10 Bearfax that we sell are red because you can see them in an emergency. And you can put that thing in your trunk or in your backpack or on your headrest or in your kitchen or your garage or your skid steer or your track hoe or your loading dock or wherever, and it'll cover the entirety of the March E algorithm: massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, and everything else. Or you can buy shit from Temu And then when your employee dies, you'll get sued for negligence, gross negligence, because none of that stuff has been approved by the FDA. None of that stuff conforms to American patents. None of that stuff is actually medical equipment. It's the airsoft equivalent of battlefield medicine. And yet, and still, people are running around with that shit in their kit thinking they're squared away. It'd be like me showing up to a gunfight with a BB gun, literally. But it's okay because I saved $20. Cool, you're going to die. GrindstoneMinistries.com. If you need a Bible, you can get a Bible at GrindstoneMinistries.com. I will send you one for free if you cannot afford it, or you can buy them at our cost. And if you want to come do awesome stuff with skid steers and chainsaws and track hoes and dump trucks and live at the FOB with us for a week to 4 weeks on site after hurricanes, tornadoes, and wildfires, go to GrindstoneMinistries.com. Sign up for the email blast because that's where our op wards go out. And we need real men and women of real faith who have strong backs and strong hearts who want to come serve their fellow man, to actually volunteer their time. And no, we don't bill FEMA for your time. We don't bill the homeowner or the municipality or the state or the federal government. We are 100% privately supported by y'all. You are our war chest. And so thank you to everybody who's poured into us there. CalebHouse.org, Caleb with a K, CalebHouse.org. We are in the counter-trafficking space. We make bad shit happen to bad people. We rescue and restore women and children who have been serially raped and passed around by pedophilic assholes. We put them back together again by the grace of the Most High and turn their stumbling block into a witness so they can go out into the world and be the light. And unlike a lot of people who get on Instagram and talk about raped kids bad, we actually do shit. And so if you'd like to support somebody who actually does shit, you can go to Caleb House, Caleb with a K.org. We tracking, we're tracking. Awesome. Let's pray. Oofda. Good morning, Father Yahuwah. Father, thank you for allowing us to wake up today. Father, be with us today. Please be near to us. Please minister to our hearts and guide our hands. Father, give us your words and pour out your spirit on all flesh that we might have the constitution to do what it is that you ask us to do today. Put us where you need us to be. Allow us to operate with strength and power and authority in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, to be your light, to forsake not the widow and the orphan, to get things done in your name, to bring righteousness upon this earth in the model of Yeshua HaMashiach, to walk in his steps as believers, as doers of the word. Father Yahweh, thank you for choosing us inexplicably and loving us inexplicably and redeeming us inexplicably by the blood of the Son, that we might have a way to come home again and be in your presence and experience your grace and mercy and be made new. Father, please keep us lit on fire to do righteousness, to suffer not the slings and the arrows of the world, but be conformed to you, be set apart to you, to be a witness and a light, to be gentle and compassionate when called for, to be meek, to be strong and men of action when called for. Father, pour out your spirit on all flesh. Let there be an awakening and a revival of your people, not people of the world, your people. Father, strengthen the remnant and be near to us. Keep us vertically aligned with our eyes on you. Don't let us be distracted by the world. Father, please backstop us. Father, if there is anything within the sound of my voice that is not of you, we come together in agreement and rebuke it in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach and command it to destroy itself. You're not welcome here. Father, please today protect us, provide for us, and bless us. Let no weapon formed against us prosper, and remember us as we do our best to remember you. And Father, please make your face to shine upon us. We need you. We are nothing without you, and we can do nothing without you. Father, please make your face shine upon us and remember us. In Yeshua's name, amen. Shalom.